This is an SU debate, so that means we're going to go along for an hour. If you have time left over at the end, we're going to discuss the junior caucus, and that's about that. So we're going to start with the incumbents, and we're going to start with John and Matthew with their opening statement. It'll last approximately 3 minutes, and then we'll have Krzysztof and Kate with their opening statement. So please remain silent, and let's do things. John and Matthew.
Hello, my name is Matthew So, and I'm running for Student Union Vice President with my partner, Jonathan Ung, who's running for SU President. Firstly, I would like to thank the BO8. John and I really appreciate it. I would also like to thank the awesome faculty members, or member, who was willing to spend their Friday afternoon with a group of high school students. Lastly, I would like to thank all of you who came out to the debate today. It's the involved students like you who give meaning to the entire election process. Once again, thank you. The campaigning process is in no way a simple task, and many times it can become extremely stressful and requires meticulous planning. Because of this, we have a great respect for the pair, Krzysztof and Kate, that have been running against us and have been keeping us on our toes this entire time. Good luck to you both. Throughout the entire election season, a reoccurring question has been, what separates you from your competition? Of course, this is a difficult question to answer, since we have such a formidable opponent. Without a doubt, it would require a multifaceted answer, and I could surely talk about it for hours on end. However, I only have a few minutes allotted for these opening words. Therefore, I encourage everyone in this room to go back to our website tonight. Even if you have already read it a number of times, read it over again to get a better feel for what we're about. One of the things we've been stressing is voting for the ticket that is consistently strong in both individuals. A vote does not extend to the single person you like the most. Rather, a vote should be applied to the team that works best together in tandem. A team where both individuals are strong, a team where both individuals are dedicated, and a team where both individuals are experienced.
A team where both units respond fluidly, work cohesively, and working closely on semi-formal and freshman spring fling with Matt. I have to say that I've not only grown to know him as a friend, but respect his work ethic and the value and the quality of work which he consistently and effectively produces. Matt has not only served as sophomore caucus president, but freshman caucus president as well. And his service in the SU can be summarized effectively in George Kitsios' endorsement, where he stated, "I have had the honor of working with Matt the entirety of my last year. And I can attest to his leadership skills, enthusiasm, and he not only embodies the characteristics of a leader, but that of a creative one as well."
John's service to the SU can be attested to by both George Kitsios' endorsement this year and to Seen Chowdhury's freshman caucus vice president's endorsement this year, in which he stated, "With John's guidance, as not only my big sib, but also the student union vice president, the freshman caucus was not only able to accomplish the goals we never thought stood a chance, but was also able to establish a relationship and reputation of respect within the SU."
All in all, I have a very positive outlook for the year along with Matt, and we hope that you will be with us every step of the way. Because a promise is a promise, but a goal is something we strive for together as a team, as a student union. You see, remember, a vote for JAMS is not only a vote for one, but two responsible, provenly dedicated, and experienced individuals. Thank you for coming to this debate, and we hope our opponents the best of luck. Wait, what is that?
30 seconds. 30 seconds left?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, students of Stuyvesant, dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to mourn the death of the student union, because the student union is dead. It's been dead for months, arguably even years, and its funeral is long overdue.
Even jokes aside, there's no union in the student union anymore. There are students, but they're not being listened to. Their voices are not being heard. Even the caucuses, who are supposed to serve as the elected representatives of hundreds of students in their elected grades, go ignored unless their ideas are in the political interests of the people whose job it is to be listening. There are plenty of stories on this, but I'll tell you my own. I can still remember, I can vividly remember sitting in the student union meeting, one of the few we held last year, with my current vice president, William Yang, who's here today. We were both completely new to the student union. Neither of us were very sure of ourselves. We had just been elected sophomore caucus. But towards the end of the meeting, we proposed an idea that we believe stood to greatly benefit the entire student body, even future students for years to come. That of giving everyone STI.edu emails, which could not only serve as a professional means of communicating with colleges, but would give us numerous student discounts on many wonderful sites. We were basically laughed off. Every single reply we received from the student union echoed lines like, "Why would anybody want them? You'll never get them. And why would the administration ever agree to set them up?" The student union constitution literally states, and I quote, "No student's request of help from or query to the student union shall go unheard of or rejected out of hand." But that's precisely what happened. We were dejected that we received zero support, but that didn't stop us from trying. William and I drafted our own surveys to assess whether people in our grade actually wanted the emails, and the results were extremely positive. So we went to the administration. We personally went to Ms. Zhang, showed her the results, and once we got her general support, it was just a matter of reminding them to actually set it up. So we went to Ms. Zhang and Mr. Wong on a weekly and bi-weekly basis. The main issue was that Mr. Wong was the only one with administrative access to the STI.edu domain, and he was simply too busy with his job as a PF programming, which is a very tiresome job, to do something completely extra that he would receive no extra compensation for. But we kept pressing, and ultimately, we probably proved more trouble for them than just setting the emails up. Because in the past few months, Mr. Wong finally recovered the info to his Google admin account for the STI.edu domain. He handed it over to Mr. Brown, who has been extremely helpful in the matter, and over the past few weeks, an account has been created for every single Stuyvesant student, every single one of you sitting here today. We started a test run with seniors. That test run proved extremely successful, and the accounts are now fixed and set up and ready to be distributed to every student in STI. The only holdup now is that we're waiting for Ms. Zhang to actually set them up. To actually mail them out, rather. While we're thrilled that the idea is finally coming to fruition, it's extremely unfortunate that it took a whole 2 years to achieve. And it most certainly wouldn't have if we had actually had the support from the student union that we asked for. There were other accounts of me voicing ideas that people asked me to relate to the student union that were also rejected out of hand.
You have time to complete your sentence.
And for that reason, we are running on a platform that at its core will listen to the student body and give it the representation that we were never given. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. And then shift off. We have to speak it. So we're gonna start off with four questions from us, and then we're gonna take 4 questions from the audience. We ask that you keep in mind that it's alternating and it's not a one-sided debate. So that means if you are going to ask a question, please make sure the previous question was asked to the opposite party. So, the first question, which I think should be answered if not answered already, is what differentiates you from your opponent? And that should be a very quick, that should take approximately 3 minutes, and you are free to criticize on that point. So the question, I repeat again, is what differentiates you from your opponent? We'll start off with Shishtoff and Kate, and then we will move on to John and Matt.
Thank you, Shanta.
So,
do we go to the podium, or do we just talk?
We can toss it next.
All right. We believe that 2 main things differentiate us from our opponents. The first of all is that we bring something new to the table, and that is Kate. Rather than being 2 people that have already been in the student union and do not necessarily bring any new ideas that they have not already promised in past elections, we bring someone who has felt that the student union has not listened to their own concerns and can therefore better serve to represent the student body from an outsider's perspective.
You know, one of the main goals of our campaign is to make the student union seem more accessible to the average STI student, and not just an organization that's run by a group of people who already know how everything works and already know all of the policies, so they have like some kind of authority to like make these decisions. But we want to emphasize that anybody at Stuyvesant who's a student can participate in the student union, and they don't have to already know how it works or already have some kind of connection.
And secondly, we believe what differentiates us is that I actually have a history of following through with my promises. William Yang and I, this past year, fulfilled every single promise we made when we ran for junior caucus. We promised that we would follow through with swim gym. We did. We promised more surveys. We gave more surveys. We promised EDU emails, and they are waiting to be sent out by Ms. Zhang. We promised free grade college trips. We got free grade college trips. And we promised a fantastic J-prom, and we got that. We also did numerous things that we didn't even promise, like addressing the finals scheduling at the end of last term when some students had 8 periods of finals in 4 school days. We never promised that we would fix that, but we still went out of our way to address a major issue that came up out of nowhere. And we believe that if you look at our opponents' promises, you will see that many of their current promises are rehashed from their last election, and there's no real reason why they haven't already been completed this past school year, let alone anything extra. Thank you.
Let's take it up. So, yeah, what differentiates between myself and Matt and Kate and Christoph would have to be one key idea that is, I guess, revolutionary, right? It's experience. As Kate stated herself, we already know how everything works and we know how things are placed and put. We can make things happen at a faster rate, and I don't necessarily know what Christoph is saying because he didn't necessarily point out any actual facts or details from my platform that weren't, quote-unquote, if you really promised and finished, and how detailed and precise someone's accomplishments in a platform are, you should just look at Matthew himself.
I think there's so first, let me start off by saying I completed probably 90% of my platform this year, and I could finish the last 10% before the next caucus is elected. But I think what a big difference is between our two tickets is the ambition that we hold. I think there's a big deficit. For example, last year, semi-formal was held in the cafeteria with just a chocolate fountain. This year we really stepped it up. We saw that there was something wrong with semi-formal and it needed to be improved. So we brought it outside of STI, and we got a cotton candy machine and a chocolate fountain for the same exact price. And I think that is to be worth noted.
And the last defining factor that really sets us apart is our attention to not just our own grades. See, throughout the entirety of the year, Matthew and I focused on not just our own grades that we're in charge of, we've also looked towards the freshman classes, things that we are actually supposed to represent. And so for someone that preaches so much about underclassmen support, we've seen the lack of that this year.
All right.
Thank you.
Now it's just off, and Kay will get 2 minutes to respond to that, and John and Matthew will have 2 minutes to
Right,
respond.
John, since you seem very intent on having me point out specific flaws in your platform, I will. Your platform last year stated, and I will quote, "We will create an official SU SurveyMonkey account that will allow us to post questions and receive responses frequently." The only email I received from SurveyMonkey this year was from their public relations department informing me that their CEO has died. I wish I was kidding. I'm not kidding. That is the only email I have received from them. So clearly, they have not followed through with that. They said that students will be able to meet with the SU Executive Council once a month, where they will be allowed to suggest any ideas they may have. That did not happen. They said we will use the administration's access to all student emails to disseminate important information and updates. That did not happen. They said an SU YouTube page will function and present monthly updates. Well, we gave one update, I guess. Okay, one up a year is kind of like monthly. In September, October, students will be able to submit event ideas to the SU. They will provide the SU with more time to be meticulous throughout the planning of each event. This is so general that I did not see any opportunity for students to actually present specific ideas. And moreover, once a month, students will vote for a charity to donate money to. I guess we did that once. Okay, I'll give them some credit on that. And finally, club pub room reservations will be done electronically, potentially through an experienced and skilled webmaster. We did not set that up, so I'm not sure where that is going. And how much time do I have left? 30 seconds. And as far as Matt's platform goes, Matt, you stated, and again I quote, "The knowledge that we obtained from organizing the semi-formal last year will serve as a key component that will make this year's dance even better. We are aware of what part." Okay. Additionally, we know exactly where and how money can be saved and put towards clubs that you, the students, are interested in. You did not save money. You lost money on the semi-formal. So you did not only not fulfill that promise, you literally went against what you promised.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm starting now.
Firstly, I would like to address his comment about the semi-formal. You know, it is true that the SU had to subsidize some money to bring the ticket prices down to $15, but to me that was one of my top priorities. As we have many low-income families at Stuyvesant, I wanted to make the dance accessible to as many students as possible.
So yes, Christoph mentioned a lot of platform points. If you notice one overarching theme, guys, it's technology. You see this SU Survey Monkey account. We saved money on that by going to Google Forms, which multiple surveys were released, including about test frequency, about amongst other things. And before my time runs out, I really want to point out that our IT director this year was really lacking, and Kyle Oleszek, the chief of staff, tried his best to really communicate and cohesively bond together the student union. But of course, with lacking appendages, the body cannot work. So without further ado, I guess we'd have to introduce the IT director, right?
One of the two. His responsibility did not involve.
All right,
You also can.
Do we respond? We don't respond. They respond. Do we?
No.
Alright, thank you so much. This is the second round of questioning. Our second question is, the role of the SU president and SU vice president is to act as a mediator between the administration and student body. How does your ticket aim to improve communication between the two independent bodies? How can you, as candidates, make the SU more personal with the student body? 3 minutes, John.
Okay, awesome.
Your time starts now.
So aside from what we've already been doing this year as student union vice president, yes, we're supposed to bridge between the administration and the students, and we recognize that. But amongst other things, we feel that it would kind of be insulting for Matt to run for this position without taking some prior experience at hand.
As you may or may not know, two of the most important roles of the vice president of the student union is to attend BSAC meetings, Borough Student Advisory Council meetings, and SLT meetings, Student Leadership Team meetings. And you know, these are not roles that usually fall to the caucus, the president caucus positions. However, I took it upon myself to educate myself, and I went to both of these meetings so that I can learn a bit more about what it takes to be a vice president of the student union.
Yeah. So as a result, not only has Matt educated himself in the role of student union vice president, I've already been enriched in the idea, and I've spent an entire year being president of Borough Student Advisory Council, which is one of the most common outlets in which we've used to spread not only Stuyvesant ideas, but to gain ideas from other schools to implement in our own school. For example, I spread the idea of a spring fling to BSAC, and as a result, multiple different schools have picked up upon the idea and saved money not only for their SUs, but for their entire budget as well.
Thank you very much. I would just like to remind the candidates that you get 3 minutes to respond for these questions. So
Can you
that's
possibly put up a timer of some sort?
sure. I'll hold it up at every minute. Every minute.
And could you repeat the question?
Sure. The question was.
The role of the SU president and SU vice president is to act as mediator between the administration and student body. How does your ticket aim to improve communication between the two independent bodies? How can you, the candidates, make the SU more personal with the student body? 3 minutes starts now.
Well, one of the whole points of our platform is to make the student union more accessible and make students feel like they can actually participate. I mean, nothing in this Constitution is unlearnable. Everyone can participate, and you don't already have to have prior experience in order to learn how to do these things. And I feel like by being someone who doesn't have experience, you know, I can communicate what I'm trying to say. I have experience on speech, as does John, but these are not, it's not a hindrance that I don't have experience, in other words.
And I am happy to hear, John, that you're so invested in helping other schools, but in my position as as junior caucus president, I've actually taken care to represent my own grade. And as I already mentioned, when at the end of last term there were students who actually, I was one of them, but I wouldn't have gone out of my way just for myself. I actually received numerous complaints from people in my grade that there were people who had 8 periods of finals in 4 school days. And like, this wasn't even during finals week, this was the week before finals week. So on the Tuesday of that week, because we had Monday off, I went straight to Ms. Rodriguez. I told her about this. I explained that this is just absurd, and within a day, it was corrected, and they had shortened history finals by 1 period and many math finals by 1 period. So if we're talking about communication skills, I think just look at our history. Thank you very much.
Alright, so you guys have 2 minutes to respond. And let me just set this up here.
Then now you gotta turn around.
Yeah, you. My guy. Okay, fine.
It's alright, don't worry about it, it's all good.
They have it on Google.
Here, I'll put it here. Alright, this good for you guys?
Yeah, this is perfect. Okay.
Start now.
So yes, Christoph is right in that we should look at history. I mean, how many of you guys are freshmen in this auditorium? And how many of you had your finals three in a row, Tuesday, June 17th? Now, you don't actually, not anymore, because Tassine Falab and I went directly to the administration, Ms. Pedrick, and sorted everything out. So yes, if we do look at history, you're not the only one that has had a record of clarifying things with the administration, because that is significantly easy to do, because not only does this administration want to help the students, we want to help the students. But one significant factor is that not only did you dispatch something that was unquantifiable to begin with, we changed the entire participation in student government through these increase of tickets. Now what I'm trying to get at is, political apathy still exists, yes. But we're getting there, slowly, step by step, and that's what we need to take. Baby steps where we try our best, and what I mean by that is, no, we accomplish what we promised. Because the more people see what the student union can do, the more people want to get involved. The more excited and ecstatic people get about what we do, the more people care. And that is what we promise. People that care.
It's certainly...
Hold on.
You set the timer? Alright.
You have
2 minutes, okay. It certainly is wonderful that the student union is already fighting apathy, but that begs the question, if apathy is improving, why are there only 2 tickets running for student union this year? In fact, had either of us not run, they would either have had to ask for more people to run and basically beg people to run, or the other one would have won automatically. You would think if apathy is not that big an issue, you would have, last year we had 3. You would have had 4, 5, maybe even 6 unique tickets running for student union presidency. And yet, it's just the 2 of us. So clearly, even among upperclassmen, apathy is a very big issue. I don't feel that anything more needs to be said. Thank you.
Alright. So, would you guys like to respond?
One-liner. Apathy and the turnout of tickets do not correlate. It's the voter turnout that we're really pointing out. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to take a moment and just address one particular issue in that we are the Board of Elections, and so we do have some hand in how voters turn up and that sort of thing. 2011, we basically started StyVote, which is essentially an electronic voting system. So that made voting easier, and I just want that to be taken into consideration as you make your decision on Monday. So the next question will be, what holds you accountable? What will you do if certain goals are unfulfilled? And why should the student body trust you? I understand this is the same theme, but I feel like I really want to drive it home. So we're going to start off with John and Matthew.
Oh, sorry, yeah, okay. So, yes, what holds us accountable, and what do we do if essentially something that doesn't necessarily go our way? Well, to really combat these issues, Matthew and I have been pursuing this leadership program that was offered by Angel Cologne. It's called Coro Leadership, and it takes place here in New York City, actually here in these very walls, Stuyvesant. It's a leadership program trained not only to working with the Department of Education, but as well as each school's administration and the borough student advisory councils of each borough. So I'm sure you're wondering, what would we do if there's some kind of unfair administrative pushback? Well, that's why we have student leadership teams. We'll call upon the help of the Parents Association. We'll do more than that. We'll bring it to this BSAC meeting where not only DOE representatives will attend, but we can directly connect it to the Chancellor's Student Advisory Council, Chancellor Farina, which is a direct route to not only the DOE system, but to the school. But before we get all technical, of course we're going to take this as hard as we can to Ms. Zhang, knock on her door, and plead what the students want. Because we're not being unreasonable at the end of the day. We're just representing what the student's voice really is.
An important thing to note that is, I know a lot of you are worried about administrative pushback, all of our ambitious campaign goals. And I just want to make sure that you all know that before we presented them before you, we had them looked over by Mr. Palazzo and Ms. Pedrick. Mr. Palazzo is the coordinator of student affairs, and Ms. Pedrick is the guidance of is the AP of guidance. So all of these have been, fact-checked, if you will, by the administration.
All right, thank you.
Joseph, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure.
Are they running out that fast?
I haven't run out.
The question, I will repeat again. What holds you accountable? What will you do if certain goals are unfulfilled? Why should a student body trust you?
Right,
And
well-
so you start now.
Well, thank you, John, for answering what you would do in terms of going to the administration, but I would actually like to answer what holds us accountable as student union leaders. And the fact is, nothing does, because of our current constitution, which is problematic in more ways than I have time to explain. If a student union leader does not want to be held accountable, all they have to do is simply hire more than 60% of the student union cabinet. All they need to do is hire their friends to positions that would vote on them to impeach them. This is, as Ryan Boudreaux, who is sitting here, correctly pointed out, more or less the equivalent of Obama single-handedly appointing 60% of Congress, which you can imagine is pretty absurd. And that is just to point out that our Constitution has not been amended in ages, and it has not been reviewed in ages, and there are many things in here that essentially promote corruption, promote nepotism, and promote a student union that cannot be held accountable for anything it does, claims to do, or says it will do in the future. Therefore, to actually make ourselves accountable, one of the first things we will do, if elected, is amend the Constitution to make it easier to impeach officials and student union representatives who do nothing. And we will do that by consulting both the Spectator, the Junior Statesmen of America, a club which has already gone to us numerous times to explain just how many things are wrong with the Constitution. And with their help, we will form a Constitution where if student union leaders do nothing, then rather than have my friends vote on impeaching me, who, I would just have to hire my friends, of course they'll vote no, we would actually do it by public referendum. In order to impeach someone, you would need signatures, and with a sufficient number of student body signatures, you can have a recall and a re-election in the middle of the year. Because if we don't do what we promised to do, we want to be held accountable. And if for some reason we don't do what we plan to accomplish, we want to be impeached. Thank you.
Alright, so now you each have 2 minutes to respond.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I'd like to just first state that it says a lot that you think your friends would prioritize friendship over the role of an administration and position. I think that's embarrassing. I think that's embarrassing to state that there's not only corruption in the student union that you are actually a part of, but to think that you were appointed out of corruption as well. I think that's the first state that we need to make, and the second state that we really need to counteract is, out of all the people you listed, you failed to list the one most influential in terms of the Constitution. That was Mr. Palazzo himself. You see, there's a plan that Matthew and I have been working on, and we weren't really sure of disclosing it because it's a bit controversial in the sense that it's never really been done in recent history. But through Mr. Palazzo's guidance, we have talked to him, and I think this really goes with Ryan Boudreaux's points. We are considering rewriting the entirety of the Student Union Constitution based on the one that we have right now, but through the guidance of not only Mr. Palazzo, Ms. Pedrick, and even consulting that of the entirety of the student union right now.
Well, that is wonderful, John, but that also begs the question of why have you not mentioned this anywhere on your platform thus far, especially when you have mentioned very far-reaching and, in some cases, ridiculously ambitious goals. Just to name a few, such as opening the fifth floor balcony